This is a piece I wrote called The Ultimate Writing Prompt, Writing Your Own Obituary. Writing your own obituary is just prudent estate planning. It'll come in handy if you're serious about aging and its inescapable conclusion. I started pondering obituaries after my partner Naomi's father died in February. I wrote the obituary for Eric Lizeroff for the Funeral Home's website. Here's how I reflected on his 96 years. Born in Germany in 1925, he had the last bar mitzvah in Dresden, weeks before Kristallnacht. Eric and his mother got out of Germany in 1941, June, sailing on the SS Excalibur from Lisbon to New York. Eric learned English and in 1944 volunteered for the Army. Assigned to the 89th Infantry Division, he was with one of the first detachments to reach the Ordrup concentration camp. He returned to the United States in 1946, just 20 years old, to pursue what he once told me he wanted: a boring life. He spent 57 years in one job as a salesman. He married Cecilia Katz in 1950, and they were loving partners for 68 years. After reading Eric's obituary, my younger brother Cooper told me, "Wow, I want you to write my obituary." Well, let's talk about that in 30 years, I told him. But maybe I can do a draft of my own now, just in case. As we all know, aging goes in one direction, but it takes place at an unpredictable pace. So my advice: plan ahead. Consider the Princeton Alumni Weekly's memorial for a man named Richard R. Ewell, class of 1939. The memorial appeared, and here's the last paragraph. Our class secretary from 1981 to 2007 and memorialist until 2010, Dick wrote 453 columns and 418 memorials, including all but the last two sentences of this one. The class expresses deep gratitude for his faithful chronicling of our lives and our deaths. Now that is a great idea. By writing his own memorial, Dick Ewell showed how to get your last thoughts out there while you can, because you don't get a do-over. I'm reminded of what Winston Churchill once said: "History will be kind to me because I intend to write it." Well, so how would you summarize your life? I call that the ultimate writing prompt. Would I write something comforting and wryly self-observant? Would it read like a depressing 1975 teenage journal entry? Or a witty and revealing 2005 J-Date profile? Well, in thinking about this piece, some old mental patterns flooded back to me. Self-denigrating, focused on failures and unmet potential. I brooded over comments that lodged in me like shards of glass. Like when my father said I walked like a girl, or when a significant other called me a self-involved prick who just doesn't get it. But aging brings perspective. I've moved beyond being my own worst critic to more self-acceptance. I'd say that you might want to settle some scores or pass on some hard-earned wisdom. Buy low, sell high. Now, I do memorials geared to niche markets. I'm a writer, that's what I do. Clearly, I would need one for the Princeton Alumni Weekly's memorial section. And then there would be a final Facebook entry, complete with my favorite photographs of a lifetime, since I always like to illustrate my writings with pictures, assuming Facebook's still around, say, in 2050. But given the world's state, I may be whistling past the graveyard here. Maybe Vladimir Putin will go bats and start World War III. If that happens, obituaries will be the least of the world's problems. But since I'm here today on stage telling this story, hey, it hasn't happened yet. We're still here. But I'll end, in every sense of the word, on a high note. Here's how my memorial could start. Van Wallach, who once did an open mic presentation musing about writing his own obituary, has died the way he lived, scribbling. In his finale, he urged readers to evolve and never accept a statute of limitations on changing your life. Wallach did just that in becoming an open mic performer in his 60s. His pieces drew on experiences like his Texas boyhood, a 7th grade crush, Judaism, the pandemic, language study, jury duty, and voting for Jerry Brown in the Democratic primary in 1976. Working emotions into narrative, Wallach left friends and families trunkloads and terabytes of expression. He never stopped exploring.